Welcome back. Glory and honor to our Father Yahweh and Messiah Yahweh Shai. Greetings to all our people in the family. We are now continuing our study in Matthew chapter 5 as Messiah is speaking to the Hebrew Israelite people in Matthew chapter 5. Again, I want to stress Messiah is not talking to everybody in Matthew chapter 5. Some people, well, those principles can be universal. Yes, they are. But he's trying to talk to his people to confirm the covenant with his people. Okay, he's trying to confirm the covenant. Matter of fact, let's look at the witnesses I gave previously to that effect. That would be Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9. And let me get there. Daniel chapter 9. And I believe we're talking about verse 27. Okay, Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. Daniel 9 prophesies about the appearance of the Messiah. Matter of fact, let's look back a couple of verses so we can get context on verse 27. Because many people who are mostly Christian take that last part of 27 and separate it out like 100 years later from the rest of it, which is ridiculous. But let's take a look here at Daniel chapter 9 from verse 24, and we're focusing on verse 27. But we're going to start Daniel 9. Now, again, let's understand Daniel is a Hebrew Israelite. Understand, Daniel is not a Roman. He's not a Greek. He's not an Egyptian. Daniel is a Hebrew Israelite from the kingdom of Judah and of the children of Judah. Daniel's message is to his people. Daniel chapter 9, verse, so you have to understand when you're reading chapter 9, you're talking about Daniel, Hebrew Israelite, message to his people, Hebrew Israelites. Okay? And the principle of prophecy, according to Revelation 1, verse 1, the revelation of Messiah, which Yah gave to him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, or Yachanan, who bear record of the word and of all the things which he saw. The servants are the Israelites. Always have been, always will be. And so here it is the record that Daniel's being given from the angel to the Hebrew Israelites for him to bear record. Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 to 27. And we're looking at 27, okay? 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. That is 69. Just in case you may not be as versed in the numbers. 7, 60 plus 2. 7 plus 60 is 67 plus 2 is 69. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. After 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. Now, why did it say that? 7 weeks represents the time period for the street to be built again and the wall. That is the first 7 weeks. After that, then the 62 weeks, Messiah. Okay? The 7 weeks represents, he said, The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. That's 7 weeks. Then the 62 weeks, that's now, after that, is the Messiah. Now, after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Wait a minute. The people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city, historically speaking, and even biblically speaking. Who destroyed Jerusalem at the time of the Messiah? Who destroyed Jerusalem at the time of the Messiah? Was it the Greeks? Was it the Egyptians? Who destroyed Jerusalem? The prince that shall come, the Romans. So he's talking about Rome. He said, the people of Rome, that is the children of Japhet from the north, from Rome, shall destroy this city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. Unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. Unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. What war? The war between Satan and Mashiach and the Father. Unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. There's going to be a lot of destruction. And we've seen that. Okay? Now, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. He shall confirm the covenant. That is, in the 69th week, he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, which totals 70. Remember, he said 70 weeks are determined upon that people. So after 69 weeks, he's going to take that last 7 years and confirm the covenant. That's the point. Not doing away with the covenant, not making a new religion. Confirm the covenant. Okay? For 1 week, that's 7 years. In the midst of the week, in other words, 3.5 years into that last 7, he shall cause sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So after 3.5 years, Messiah shall cause sacrifice and oblation to be no good anymore. After 3.5 years. Why? Because he becomes the sacrifice. So then after he did that, there was another 3.5 years, which ended with Stephen being stoned and Stephen bearing witness that he saw Messiah stand up next to the Father. So he was there, that is Messiah, to confirm the covenant with many, the many being his people. The covenant was not given to everybody. The covenant was given to Israel as a nation. Now people say, well, Adam had it. Yeah, Adam was not a nation. Abraham was promised to be a great nation, and the Father took that nation, and he said he did that. I took one nation out of another, he said, out of Egypt, brought them to Mount Sinai, and confirmed, that is, with his own word, had the whole nation hear the covenant being spoken. To the point where they asked, please let us stop hearing this because we're going to die from this voice. So now the covenant was spoken to the nation, and Messiah came to confirm the covenant with the nation. Okay, everybody got that so far? Testing 1, 2, 3. So he came to confirm the covenant with the nation. That's what he came to do. Then there's Isaiah chapter 8. Isaiah chapter 8. Second witness here, Isaiah chapter 8. And let's begin Isaiah chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 13 and go down to verse 20. Isaiah chapter 8. Isaiah chapter 8 from verse 13 to verse 20. Sanctify Yahweh of hosts himself. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both houses of Israel, for a gin and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Both houses of Israel. Can you tell me, what were the two houses of Israel that the prophet Isaiah was being told about? What was the two houses of Israel? He said, and he shall be for a sanctuary and for a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both houses of Israel? What was the two houses of Israel that's being spoken of here? Do you guys know? What are the two houses that Israel became? They became two houses. How did they become two houses? And what are the two houses? He said both houses of Israel. That's right. Thank you, Mark. The northern kingdom, which was led by Ephraim, and the southern kingdom, which was Judah. Thank you, Superstar. That's exactly right. So he said both houses of Israel, the northern kingdom led by Ephraim, and the southern kingdom led by Judah. Okay. So then he says, this shall be a snare to both houses of Israel, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Bind up the testimony. That means you're going to bind up the covenant. The testimony is the witness. The witness and testimony are the covenant. The ark is called the ark of the testimony, or the ark of the covenant. So bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. That's right, in your forehead, in your heart. And I will wait upon Yahweh, and that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from Yahweh of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits. Now, we know familiar spirits means like magic stuff, like dark, what you call it, supernatural, dark supernatural stuff, right? But familiar spirits are also spirits that are in man-made religion. Wizards don't always just exist with, coats and a pointed hat with star on their head. Wizards exist in Reverend and Doctor. Wizards exist in man-made 666 religions. He's talking to Israel, telling you stay away from them wizards. And familiar spirits that peep and that mutter. Should not a people seek unto their God, for the living to the dead, to the law and to the testimony? If they speak not according to this word, it's because there's no light in them. Okay, so Messiah came to bind the law among his disciples, seal the law among his disciples, confirm the covenant for the time he was there. Now, today, this section that we're dealing with right here is dealing with two things: murder and adultery. Two things in this section of Matthew chapter 5, murder and adultery. What ends up happening, brethren, is when we start to focus on man-made religion and man-made rules, we lose focus and sight of the meaning of what Father gave us. We lose focus and sight on the purpose of what Father gave us. First of all, we seek to become examples of Messiah. Not that we're Messiah, but the Father sent him as our example for us to be like him. That's why he calls him the firstborn among many brethren. And the Father intends us to walk in those steps. The Father is not a murderer. The Father is not an adulterer. Neither was the Messiah. So he teaches us to be like them. That's the object. Now, let's look and see what Moses gave us in terms of murder. See, Moses was given from the Father what murder is. Murder means you kill somebody, right? But it's not just simply killing somebody for the sake of killing them, although we'll see what Moses has to tell us here. Let's take a look in, let's see. What do I want? Yes. I'm going to, let me see. Yeah, I'm going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 19. Deuteronomy chapter 19. Yes, Deuteronomy chapter 19. I'm going to begin at verse 4 of Deuteronomy chapter 19, because he not only talks about murder, but he separates the difference of what we call today manslaughter and murder. Okay, he separates. And you'll see here as we read it. This is Deuteronomy chapter 19, going to begin at verse 4 and go down to verse 11, okay? And we'll keep going. But Deuteronomy, that's right, intent. Thank you, Brother Super. Exactly. Deuteronomy chapter 19 from verse 4 to verse 11. And this is the case of the slayer which shall flee thither, that he may live. Whoso killeth his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in time past, as when a man goeth into the wood with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slippeth from the helve and lighteth upon his neighbor that he die, he shall flee into one of those cities and live. Again, because he didn't go into the woods with the intention of killing his neighbor. There was an accident. He went to use the axe, and the top of the axe head slipped off and hit his neighbor and killed him. Okay, but that's not purposely done. He didn't have an intent to kill the neighbor. But the neighbor may have fam, and the fam may not believe that, right? So now, verse 6, lest the avenger of blood pursue the slayer while his heart is hot, and overtake him because the way is long, and slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, insomuch that as he hated him not in time past. So he had nothing against his neighbor. It was an accident. But people get people will get hot and angry in a moment and want to kill you in the moment, even though you had no evil intent of hurting anybody. It was an accident. So he said, flee to a specific city. They called it cities of refuge. Flee to a city of refuge, so that the person that wants to kill you from the man's family don't kill you, because you're in the city of refuge. Okay. Wherefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee. And if Yahweh thy Most High enlarge thy coast, as he has sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he hath promised to give unto thy fathers, thou shalt keep all these commandments to do them, which I command thee this day, to love Yahweh thy Most High, and to walk ever in his ways. Then thou shalt add 3 cities more for thee beside these 3, that the innocent blood be not shed in the land, which Yahweh thy Most High giveth thee for an inheritance. So blood be upon thee. But if any man hate his neighbor and lie in wait for him and rise up against him and smite him mortally that he die, he that fleeth into one of these cities and flee, then the elders, verse 12, of this city shall send and fetch him thence and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood that he die. Verse 13, thy eye shall not pity him, but thou shalt put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, that it may go well with thee. So a person that hated his neighbor, wanted to rob him maybe, had an ulterior motive that didn't have to do with that neighbor doing anything to him, and killed him. That's murder. No pity for the murderer. No pity for the murderer. Okay? No, you can't flee to a city of refuge because you murdered somebody. That's murder. Okay? Now, Messiah is going to teach us that it starts in our hearts. The act of murder begins with the spirit in the heart. Right? So a person just doesn't walk up on a person and murder them without having previously thought, I'm going to murder this person. Or if things don't go the way I want, I'm going to kill him. Or we can't have no witnesses. There was a witness to what I did, so I'm going to have to eliminate all witnesses. That's murder. Now, so everybody can see there's a difference between an accidental death, 2 guys working on a car together. Guy crawls up under the car that's jacked up. The car falls on him and kills him. Did the other guy want to kill him? No, they were just working on the car together, and the car fell and killed the other guy. That's manslaughter, accidentally. Didn't want the man to die. But if the man sees him working under the car and says, I hate that dude. Maybe I can take his this or that, and pushes the thing from under the car and causes the car to crush the other man. That's murder. That's murder. And it started with his thought process. He thought he was going to do this, and he did it. Does that make sense, y'all? So the key thing is to have the Spirit of the Father deal with your heart. That you don't have a heart to hate somebody because you want something from them, because you're covetous or something, because you think you robbed them, because you want their woman or you want their man. That the Spirit of the Father give you a heart like the Father, that you don't covet, that you don't want something that doesn't belong to you, that you don't want to steal it and kill whoever's in your way to get it, or that you're just angry and want to end somebody's life. All of these things people do to kill. But he said it starts in your heart and your spirit. So now what would tell us, we got to give our heart and spirit to the Father. So that Messiah said, he that is born of the water and the spirit. If you're not born of the water and the spirit, you can't see the kingdom. So you need to be born of the spirit so that the Father will be now dictating what you should do and what you shouldn't do as you are now walking in his spirit. So now a murderer is born by somebody that thinks about it first. You don't just walk up on somebody accidentally and kill them. It's, murderer, all murders are in some way or another pre-planned or predestined because the person has it in their heart to murder. Man's angry at women, so he goes out and the first woman he sees, he kills her. Or maybe he rapes and kills her. That's pre-planned, even though he didn't pick the particular woman necessarily. It was already in his heart to do that. Okay, so it's always premeditated. Never it's like accidental. Some people act like they're not, but if you already knew you wanted to kill somebody. And sometimes, brethren, sometimes I found in watching the news in these situations, like somebody said, well, why did they kill that poor man? They just walked up on him and shot him. Well, maybe that boy was molested by that man maybe many years before, and now he's coming to pay back. Sometimes there's more to it than we know, right? The news reports something. Sometimes it's simple. Maybe he wanted to rob him, but sometimes it's maybe that old man did something to him many years ago and time to pay the piper, right? That happens too. But murder generally is something that has an intent that's premeditated. Okay. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy, and now let's talk about adultery, which is even like more involved in our society today as murder, right? Adultery. And what we are taught by the Christian church is adultery is when you're having sex with somebody that's married. Isn't that correct? So adultery is when you're having sex with somebody that's married. That's what people generally associate with adultery. You're having sex with somebody that's married, which means for you to have sex with a married person, you are coveting what doesn't belong to you. You see how the covenant is for you to actually have sex with somebody that's not yours. You have to want something that's not yours. Y'all got that? You have to want something that's not yours. So let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22. Let's start at verse 13. Deuteronomy chapter 22 from verse 13. And we've read this before, but this is Moses teaching Israel what adultery is and the penalty for adultery. What adultery is too, like if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that's in the Bible, the word. Let me ask you this. In the Bible, what is the word for boyfriend and girlfriend? That relation in the Bible, what is that? What is that called? The boyfriend-girlfriend relation in the Bible. What is that called? Concubine, that's right. So in the Bible, it's called a concubine. See, but it's the same rules. Your concubine is not supposed to be everybody's concubine. It's yours. That's yours. Okay. So adultery means you having somebody else's woman that not is you. Generally speaking, either the woman or the man or both know that she belongs to somebody when they're having adultery. Okay. They know that. Or sometimes the man might tell the woman, I'm single, and he's not. Or the woman might tell the man, I'm single, and she's not. In either case, it's still adultery. Whether you knew or you didn't know, it's still adultery. Okay? Because that happens a lot. A lot of dudes use that line. I broke up with my woman, or I'm divorced with my wife. I need the paperwork to go through, and they start talking, and she goes with him, not knowing he's completely married and he's not intending on leaving his wife. That's adultery. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 22 from verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. What does that mean? That means she had sex with somebody before me, because the agreement in the Bible, when two people are getting married, the expectation in Israel is that the woman has never had sex before. The only woman that is getting married in Israel at that time that was not a virgin is a widow. A woman that's a widow can get married again. So there's no expectation that she's going to be a virgin. For example, Ruth the Moabite was a widow. Her husband had died. So there was no expectation from Boaz that Ruth would be a virgin when he took her to be his wife. But other than that, the expectation is the woman has had no sex before. Now, of course, in today's modern society, adultery and fornication are rampant. I mean, right? I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It's rampant. It's hard to find a woman that has never had sex with a man before. Very difficult. Very difficult, if not impossible. Very difficult. So most women have had sex. By the time they even become full-grown women, they've had sex. Men are on them to get sex from them when they're teenagers. Okay, before that even, God forbid. But that's what they do. So it's very difficult to find. But in the nation of Israel, the woman represented the purity of the nation. Therefore, she was not to have men touch her or have sex with her. The men and the piece of the land protected the woman from that, unlike today, where there's no protection. Okay, they protected the woman from that, so that there was an expectation she was not have had sex with anybody before the night of her wedding. So now, if her husband has sex with her and realizes, wait a minute, she ain't no virgin, then that means she committed adultery or fornication. Okay. And so he gives occasion of speech against her. I took her, and she was not a virgin. She was not a maid. Verse 15. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he giveth occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, the cloth being the sheet that they had sex on. Because generally, when a woman has sex her first time having sex, there's going to be some blood. Does that make sense? There's going to be some blood. So he said, and so the father and mother take the cloth as a witness. So the husband and wife are going into a house or a room in the house, and they're going to consummate the marriage by having sex, by becoming one flesh. And so in that room, she is going to have a little bit of blood, because it is her first time having sex. So if a man come out and say she wasn't no virgin, and the parents say, listen, look at the sheet. There's blood on the sheet. There's a witness. Now, let's take a look. Verse 17. And lo, he giveth occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father and of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days. In other words, he's going to be under what we call today alimony. He's got to pay. He's got to provide for her the rest of her days, the rest of his days. because he brought up an evil name of a virgin in Israel. Imagine that now, today. You know what dudes do? When dudes have sex with a woman, they can't wait to go tell all their friends. Isn't that right? Man, I was with so-and-so and so-and-so. Man, I got it, man. Yeah. Imagine now, if you did that, now you got to, if it's found that you did that and she was faithful to you, you have to pay alimony for the rest of your life. Imagine that, because that's basically what it was. Oh, you're going to pay for her now the rest of your days. You done brought up an evil name of a virgin daughter of Israel. You're going to pay for the rest of your life. That would keep a lot of brothers' mouths shut. That would cause a lot of brothers to keep their mouth shut, because you're going to pay. If it's found you're bringing slander on one of the sisters in Israel, you're going to pay. Okay? And that's what they would do. Okay? Verse 20. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die. Very serious. Because she had wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. You brought shame on your father's house by having sex with a man before your husband, when your father wants to keep you for your husband. That's cause for death. Why was it so serious? Because the woman represents the nation. The woman represents the nation. He said, notice, he said in the first case, he said, you brought, what did he say? You brought an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. You brought an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And you recall what happened to Jacob's daughter, Dinah, and how Simeon and Levi took care of that business. And then Jacob said, you make my name to stink among the people. And he said, what? Should we let them treat our sister like a harlot? That's what they said. Should we let them treat our sister like a harlot? Okay, so the object is to revere the purity of the female, to revere the purity of the female. And then she is nothing wrong with having sex. Definitely not. But you're supposed to have it with your one man. That's it, not two. And he's supposed to take care of you all your days. Okay, now the Bible does give reference to more than one wife. Generally, it's talk about two wives. But, you know, this is where it comes in what Paul said. All things are lawful unto me, but not all things are convenient. So just because you can have two wives don't mean you need to. Especially men today. Bad shape. Can't be handling no two wives. You know, I'm talking about not just sexually. I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually, financially. Can't be having no two wives. Most guys can't. You know, there's guys that want to do it, but not all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. That's the word to say. All things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. Now, Messiah said, if you look on a woman to lust after her in your heart, you've already committed adultery. What are we talking about? This is the thing, brother. This is the thing. Just talked to my wife about this today. Women, your sisters, you give off signals. What do I mean when I say you give off signals? Let's say you're in your house with your man, right? And you dress a certain way that says, I'm not in the mood today. Don't mess with me. There's a certain way you dress that say, I'm not in the mood today. Don't mess with me. Then there's a certain way you might dress that says, I might want to do something. I may not. Then there's a certain way that says, oh, it's on. It's on now. Okay. And you sisters know what I'm talking about. And the brothers, you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain way they come at you and you be like, oh yeah, they ain't trying to hear it today. And then there's a certain way they come at you and you be like, oh, maybe. And then there's a certain way, oh bro, it's on. It's on now. Okay. Right. problem today is that women don't realize, because the society is so perverted, that they be dressing like it's on all the time when they're outside. They be dressing like it's on, like people at the gym. And they don't understand. The society is so perverted that they can't understand in their mind. Do you realize what you're trying to say with that outfit on? Do you realize what you're, and I'm not saying you got to be dressed as a, as a Muslim from head to toe and only your eyes be seen, but I think we know the difference between something that's provocative and something that's not. Testing 1, 2, 3. I think common sense can tell you, something that's provocative, something that's not. So now, when a woman is coming like that and she's provocative, a man's gonna look. You're a man. You're gonna look. Okay, you're gonna see it. So now the move is this. Are you trying to see it? The next move is where the adultery comes in. Where your thought is like this: I need to go get her number. I need to go holler at her. You're starting the process of adultery already. You start the process. You can't say you don't see it. You're gonna see it. But it's the next move that starts the adultery process. He said, when you look on her to lust after her, you've already committed adultery with her, because you already started the process that's going to end up in adultery. And there are some women that know exactly what they're doing. Now, there are some women that dress innocently, trying to be as classy as possible, and they just look so good to a brother, he's going to try to hit on it anyway, except a brother that's not an adulterer. And that's why it's important, brethren, as the father's people of Israel, that we always allow the father to pick and choose for us. And if we have a woman, we got our woman. You can notice another woman, but you got your woman already. You got your woman. That's yours. Okay? That's yours. And if you're a man, if you got a man, your woman, you got a man. That's yours. You don't need two. You may have problems with your man, but that's your man. So if you start to think, especially, see, with a man, this is the thing. And you tell me if this is your experience. A man's adultery process can start with a woman he's never met before. He smells her or he sees her, and it can start right there. And the next thought is, I got to holler at her. Right? So he could wake up one day and, just going about his business, and something could walk by him. And he's like, oh, shoot, let me go holler at that. Oh, my gosh. A woman, she might like the way a man looks, but she needs an emotional attachment to make something permanent. She might like the way you look and be handsome and everything, but that's not the object that's going to cause her to say. You got to get an emotional attachment. There's got to be something more for her, so that if she's committing adultery, brethren, is purposely done. She knows what she's doing. Okay? So it all, again, starts with the heart and with the thought process and with the intent. There's no such thing as it just happened. I'm not saying you can, like I said, a man can connect on the level by what he smells and sees. He can connect on that and then be ready to move to the next level. Women don't generally do that. They need a little bit more. You can rap to them, but they may not go on that. They got another. Can you provide for me? Oh, you got some money? Oh, that car is really nice. Or what you doing with yourself? It could be like that. But they need something more, or you just, you touched her heart. That's right. You touched her heart, and she's ready to, because that's the thing at the end of the day. For a woman, a true woman, her heart's got to be touched for her to commit to you. Her heart's got to be touched, man. And the thing is, you got to be careful who has your heart if you're a woman. And if you're a man, you better be careful who you laying with. Who you laying with and who you having babies with is important. And y'all know that can ruin your life. That can mess everything up. Who you having babies with? I got a cousin, man. He met a beautiful girl. Beautiful. I mean, physically. I don't know what she is. And man, he was so happy. He was telling me about her and blah, 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 blah. And then another year went by and he got her pregnant. And he was so happy to have a little boy. And just about 2 days ago, he called me out and had me on the phone for almost an hour cursing this woman out about how he hates her. Blah, 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 blah. I said, but you got a child with her. I know, man. I messed up. Blah, blah, blah. See? I said, man, brother, cuz be careful about who you having babies with. Just because they look good don't mean no. Be careful. And that's where the spirit of the Father comes in. So what the Messiah is talking to us Israelites about is your heart. What are your thoughts? What is your motives? What are your intent here? What's your intent? Is it just that you like the way that curve goes and you want to get on it? Or is the Father really leading you to it? Or do you already have a woman and you trying to get more because you're greedy and it looks good and it smells good? And man, if I had that, now you're in trouble. See, I could be with the brothers and I could see a woman. In fact, I think of women as beautiful art. And when I see her, I'm like, whoa, shoot. But that don't mean I'm going the next step and saying, oh, yeah, I got to holler at you. No, because then I'm in trouble. I done crossed the line then because now I'm making a move to go get it. That's different. That's well different. Okay? That's way different. And nowadays, the way some of these sisters are dressing, they want you to make that move. It's like they're fishing. They got the pole out there in the water and they're looking for a bite. They might pull the fish in and I don't like that fish and throw it back in there and they pull the fish in. Oh, I like this fish. And they got you. It works both ways, but it starts always in the intents of the heart. And that's what Messiah is dealing with in Matthew chapter 5. So let's take a look at that. Matthew chapter 5. Again, understanding he's talking about us Hebrews dealing with each other. He's not talking about Gentiles here. He's talking about Hebrews and those among us who are Gentiles who is among us. That's what he's dealing with. Matthew chapter 5. Let's see, from verse 21 down to verse 29. Actually, from 21 down to verse 30. Yeah. He gets a lot, he speaks a lot on this man-woman relationship thing in these words here. And as we all know today, the man-woman relationship today is a key to the rise or fall of Israel, is a key. The enemy has us hating each other for different reasons. Isn't that right? The enemy has the sisters and brothers thinking each other is the enemy. And why? Because the sisters have taken the mantle of the Gentile woman's fight with her man and took it. And they took advantage of that and made the sister to be higher than her man when she didn't have no problem with her man before. But now she does. Then they attack the man. Get the man out the home, put the man on drugs, put the man into deep depression, and then cause the man to be desperately angry. In between the two things, they destroy the Hebrew home. The Spirit of the Father's perfect righteousness works to bring it back through Messiah, to bring it back. As we surrender all our anger, our hates, our hurts, our pains, and everything we've dealt with to the Father Yah, he deals with us so that we become different people. And not always just because you came to Messiah today don't mean you're ready to get married or be with somebody tomorrow. Don't make that mistake. Let the Father show you when it's time. It's not when you think it's time. It's if and when the Father thinks it's time. Yeah, exactly. The movie Claudine exactly exemplifies that. Diane Carroll was a single mama. Whoever the baby's fathers was, I think there was 4 of them. They wasn't around. Here comes James Earl Jones, and now he was afraid because she was getting welfare. Welfare lady come to see if she got anything new, because if she got a man in the house, she's going to lose her welfare. So she got to see James Earl on the sneak, and he got to see on the sneak. And if she start talking about more serious, he's afraid because then she'll lose the welfare, and he's on the hook for them kids. That is how they destroy us. From within. That's how they destroy us. And the son is so disgusted, he has a vasectomy so that he won't have no more babies, and that's what they want. Mm-hmm. Matthew chapter 5, from verse 21 down to verse 30. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without cause, see, the man that hated his brother, shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. And whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hell fire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother has aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way, and first be reconciled to thy brother. Then come and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the utmost farthing. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, that thy whole body should be cast into hell. If thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it be profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, that thy whole body should be cast into hell. He's not telling you literally to take your eye out or cut your hand off. But he's telling you this. If you're an alcoholic, right? You're an alcoholic and you're admitted you're an alcoholic. Is it good for you to go into a bar? Is it good for you to go into a bar? You're an alcoholic. Is it good for you to go into a bar? Is it okay if you hang out in the bar a little while if you're an alcoholic? Or you've been an adulterer. You've been a fornicator. You've had so many sexual partners, you can't even keep count of your count anymore. Is it good for you to go into a club? Is it good for you to go into a club? Or if you're a man that's an adulterer, is it good for you to go into a strip club? You want to go in there if you had a problem having sex with everything that moves? You want to go into a strip club? See, so in other words, take away these situations that you know you get in trouble. So if somebody has wine and you can't drink, you got to let them know, I can't drink wine. Maybe they'll put it away. If not, maybe you better leave. If you know you got a problem, there's a particular woman coming on to you and she looks good to you. What you don't want is you don't want to be alone with her with opportunity. That's what you don't want. That's what he's trying to say. Does that make sense, brother? Don't put yourself in a position, then try to say later, well, it just happened. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You wanted it. Just admit. That's what I'm saying. When I was thinking about having sex with another woman while I was married to my wife, I admitted that's what I wanted. And I told the father, I want this. You need to stop me. I'm not trying to make an excuse that is right. I want it. You need to stop. And that's what I'm saying, brethren. The first thing that I learned when I came to the Father is to deal with me. When you make an excuse for your sin, all you're doing is opening the door to sin. Be real. Yes, I had sex with the woman. Don't be like Bill Clinton. I didn't have sex with that woman, knowing full well he did. Yes, I had sex with the woman. Why? Because I wanted it. It was wrong. I wanted it. There's hope for that person. There's hope for that person. It's the person that says, I ain't have sex with that woman. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. Like the rap song, wasn't me. What, you caught her on the bathroom floor? No, what wasn't me. No, you wasn't have. I didn't see you. No, wasn't me. That wasn't me. It wasn't me. That's the person that has a problem. That's the person that has a problem. Right? Yeah, well, that's true. But that's between the right. You know, but some people just can't come correct, right? That's between them and the Most High. If the man's spirit knows that his wife has had sex with somebody and she ain't admitting it, but his spirit knows, the Bible calls that spirit of jealousy. Better to leave alone. Better to leave than live with that. Better to leave. I remember one woman decided she wanted to divorce her husband and said the reason she's divorced her husband is because he masturbated. And she used that excuse to divorce her husband and met with another guy who she ended up divorcing anyway. She wanted an excuse to think that she was doing was justified. That's really what it is, isn't it? You're trying to justify yourself. Isn't that what sinners that are unrepentant do? They try to justify themselves. Don't do that. Come correct. The Alcoholic Anonymous guy has it right. My name is John Doe and I'm an alcoholic. Come correct. That's this way you have a chance to overcome. But don't put yourself in positions where it's like this. Even in the world, when there's a pedophile, one of the things they tell the pedophile is you can't be within X number of feet of a school or you can't be with children at all. Isn't that what they tell them? Why? Because they know you're putting them in a position to do something bad. If your right eye friendly, pluck it out. If your right hand offended, you cut it off. Don't go to those. You can't go to no school. You can't be in charge of no children. You're a pedophile. Okay? If you're an alcoholic, don't go to no bars. Don't be nowhere where there's alcohol that could be served and you know you might be around people drinking and to be tempted to drink. You don't need to be there. If you have a problem, if you're a man that everything that moves, you actually don't just look at it, you move against it to try to have sex with it, you better stay out of situations where that's going to be you. Yeah, the serpent beguiled me and I did eat. Yeah. Well, the Bible said, yeah, she was fooled. That's why she's below the man. Said Adam wasn't fooled. She was. The serpent beguiled me. Said Adam was fooled. He wasn't, the woman was deceived. And since then, our Satan's been trying to use the woman to deceive and be deceived, which is why the man is supposed to be the head of the house and the head. But now, the way this thing is going now, it ain't like that no more. And man, not used to being the head, don't know how to exercise authority with principle and righteousness and mercy. Don't know how to do that. Okay? It's all messed up. We need the Father and we need his spirit to be obedient to the covenant. And here again, with areas of adultery and murder, we know what the Bible says. We know it's wrong. We know that we need a different spirit so that our intents will be to the glory of the Father. And brethren, that's what it is. When your intent is to glorify your heavenly Father, that will cause you to get victory by his spirit over all of this. Okay, when your intent is to glorify him, and by me saying to him, listen, I want to do this. I'm being real with him. I'm being real. I said, I know it's wrong, but I don't care who it is. If you give me opportunity, I'm going to do it. I told him, and he blocked it until that spirit of want to have was gone. And I remember the day it left. I saw it, but he had to do it. Otherwise, I would have did it. But I had to be honest and tell him, this is what I'm feeling. Okay? This is what I want to do. Don't play. Don't act a fool. See, people try to hide. Don't hide from the Father. You can't hide from him. Your intents are wide open to him. People that lie to themselves are the most dangerous people. And that's most of the folks that's going to be lost. They're unrepentant and they lie to themselves because they don't want to receive the chastening that the Father gives you when he shows you who you really are. That's the truth about it. Praise the Most High. That's right. Praise the Most High. But we'll stop there because the next part is putting away your wife with a writing of divorcement. Ooh, he's gonna deal with some stuff in here. He's gonna deal with some stuff in here. All right. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, family.